Hello everyone! I just got back from the movie theater where I saw Godzilla vs. Kong, the long-awaited fourth and final film in the legendary Monsterverse. Like many of you were, I was on the fence about whether I should go to the movie theater and see it, or stream it on TV, or wait an extra few months for it to come out. But I really felt like this is the kind of movie that you want to see on the big screen. You want the theatrical experience. So I went and saw it in the movies. I have 4 pages of notes here that I jotted down in the car as quickly as I could, and it's a mix of spoilers and non-spoilers. I don't want to tell you the spoilers. I really do feel like this movie will be much more enjoyable to you if you go into it knowing as little as possible. That was the case for me. I saw the trailer, which I had kind of a reaction to. I didn't love the preview, but I watched a couple trailers when they came out, and then I listened to 2 numbers from the soundtrack, Kong's theme and Godzilla's theme, when those were released, and that actually made me feel more enthusiastic about the movie than the trailers did, and kind of helped alleviate some of my feeling, because I liked the music. I didn't feel quite so enthusiastic as I did when I heard the King of the Monsters music, but this was good, and I felt like, okay, I'm curious, especially the Godzilla theme. What are we doing here? So that's it. I have avoided all other things, avoided any reviews, because I just wanted to know as little as possible, and that is what I recommend. If you are interested in going to see this movie, then just go to see the movie and don't watch or listen to any reviews, because I feel like it's impossible for anyone to talk about the movie and not give away too much. So the rest of this video will be interesting. For crying out loud, there's a spoiler in the first 2 minutes. There's a twist revealed right then and there, and it's like, what? I did not expect that at all. That's crazy. And I can't talk about that because I don't want to rob anyone else of the surprise, just because I happened to go to the 2 o'clock Wednesday afternoon showing. I had that opportunity, and not everybody else does, so I'm not going to take anything away from you. But if you want to know a few things about the movie, either because you don't care so much if you know more than nothing, or because you've seen the movie and you want to hear me talk about at least a little bit of it, here are some of my first impressions, my thoughts on Godzilla vs. Kong. I will do my best not to spoil anything, but I make no promises. It's up to you if you want to continue watching this video or not. Or you could come back and watch the rest of it later. Here we go! There's plenty of fighting between Godzilla and Kong, and that whole aircraft carrier scene that is featured very prominently in the teaser and the trailer, that happens in the first half of the movie. I'd say that's the climax of the first act. So the trailer didn't give away the whole store. I don't think fans will be disappointed by the fight scenes. I don't think they'll be disappointed by how much coverage Godzilla and Kong get, although I will say that the movie definitely is favoring Kong, which, as a Godzilla fan, I've got Godzilla on my shelf here, for crying out loud. I know people have wondered what this is. I've had people think it's a shark. No, it's Godzilla. It's got Godzilla on the tag. But, you know, as a Godzilla fan, to see him getting punched repeatedly, it's a bit rough, but honestly, I have to say, are there that many people going to see this movie who don't like both? I thought the design for both was pretty good. Kong is older here, obviously, than he was in Kong Skull Island. That took place in 1973. Godzilla, I thought, looked more different. I think that's less a result of age and more the result of different people making the movie. There's a lot of Spike close-ups, which was really cool. They looked very spiky. There are a lot of close-ups in general of both of them. There's a lot of active camera work in the fight scenes. Lots of motion, and you're zooming around and getting up close and personal. I think the movie as a whole has some great visuals. The picture looked nice and crisp. It was colorful. There's amazing depth. Godzilla's skin in the close-ups was very real looking, which is not always the case. In the Suitmation ones, the Japanese Suitmation movies, his skin looked real because it was real, in a manner of speaking, but the CGI has been fine, but sometimes it looks better than others. And I don't know if the movies being delayed because of COVID gave them extra time to work on making the CGI look better, or if they just made it look better in close-ups anyway. But I was impressed. It was very clean. It was very detailed. And wow, Kong's fur looked great. They've really amped up Kong's anthropomorphism. He has a lot of human characteristics and mannerisms, and they've even gone a step further with what I'm gonna call the Coco twist. And there was an element of that I was like, oh, I don't know about this. But it only happened once, so I guess it was okay. It was kind of up to interpretation, whether you think that thing happened or not. I'm being so vague here, but I'm being vague on purpose. The heart of the film is the bond between Kong and this tiny little girl. She's an Iwi orphan. The Iwi were the people on Skull Island, and she is able to connect with him and stuff. The other human characters, they were okay. There wasn't anybody that I detested. Alexander Skarsgård gets top billing, so I guess he's the star. He's cute. That was an unexpected bonus, having an attractive guy to look at when there wasn't exciting monster stuff going on. Not the most developed character. He mainly reacts to things. Millie Bobby Brown's character is back from King of the Monsters, and I didn't like her character a whole lot there, and I didn't care much about her character here either. She mostly serves the purpose of linking storylines and getting us from point A to point B. As a personality, there wasn't a whole lot there, but... And then, to kind of flesh out her story, they brought Kyle Chandler back, who played her father. He's the only character who I really felt didn't need to be in the movie. But, you know, the movie's not absurdly long. It's just under 2 hours. So I don't come away feeling like, oh, this could have been so much shorter if they had cut out all of these people who didn't need to be there and gotten rid of this subplot and this storyline because nobody cares. I don't feel that way. I feel like they did pretty good with not having a lot of extraneous characters and loose plot threads. It seemed pretty tight. The antagonists are pretty run-of-the-mill, cookie-cutter. One of them is especially exaggerated, but not enough to make him a memorable villain. But he's serviceable. I'd been under the impression that there'd be a couple more ties to King of the Monsters. There's a character who... his last name, I think, is Serizawa, and I had thought that he was Ken Watanabe's character's son from the previous movies. But if that was originally the case, they scrubbed that. I don't think there was any mention of that, and his character was a little strange. One of those characters where you can't tell if he's supposed to be good or bad, or just a little overzealous to the point of doing bad things, but he doesn't necessarily have evil intent. I don't know, I'd have to think about that character a little more. When the trailers came out, I remember people were saying that they got a Pacific Rim vibe. I would agree with that in coloring and in an element of the plot. But when it comes to that plot point, I would say actually it's probably referencing one or two previous Godzilla films. And one could argue that Pacific Rim was borrowing the idea from those films. I picked up on two King Kong vs. Godzilla Easter eggs, references to the 1962 film. One is a scene where Kong is transported through the air in a net. I thought that was a reference. And the other was during one of the fight scenes. If I say it reminded me of the Eat Your Vegetables scene in King Kong vs. Godzilla, do you know what I'm talking about? When that trailer came out, everybody's brains exploded with theories. And I heard a lot of the theories and then was kind of like, I wish I didn't hear these theories because what if people are right? And as it turns out, a lot of the theories were correct, but not all of them. And some of the stuff, even though we were right, it turned out to be a little different than we were thinking, which is good. And they didn't reveal all of this too soon. I think the movie did a good job of pacing the surprises. Mechagodzilla is in the movie. Everybody was right about that. The Mechagodzilla design is a bit rough. It's not polished and smooth like some previous Mechagodzillas that we've seen, especially not like the original one. I went into this movie rooting for Godzilla, but I didn't necessarily want Kong to lose, and I had a very strong suspicion that it would turn out that they end up working together, and then they both go their separate ways, and the world is at peace again. And, that is essentially what happened. I don't feel like, oh, I was right, it was so predictable. No, I feel like, good, that's what I wanted. Kong does do the most to take out Mechagodzilla, so if you're a Kong fan, I suspect you will really enjoy what they do here. If you're not a Kong fan, then you might feel dissatisfied. You might feel like, all those movies showing Godzilla as the big hero, and now all of a sudden he's the bad guy. I do feel like there was a little bit of that, especially in the first half hour or so. I felt like Godzilla is moving and fighting in a way that we haven't really seen him move and fight before, and it just feels really uncharacteristic because it looks different and because this is not the kaiju that we've come to know in the MonsterVerse. But they wanted to tell a different story. They were really leaning on this ancient rivalry thing, and, I don't know. I don't totally buy it just because it seems so out of the blue. I know that they did do a little stuff to build up to it, but, I don't know. King Ghidorah seemed like more of an arch rival. And, for anybody who's wondering, well, what about that King Ghidorah head in the post-credit scene at the end of King of the Monsters? That does make an appearance here, so there you go. Another thing that they did do a good job building up to was this whole Hollow Earth thing. It's introduced in Kong Skull Island, and then in King of the Monsters, we actually get a little peek at it. And then in this movie, wow, they went all out. It's one of a few things in the movie where I feel like, well, I could look at this one of two ways. It's either brilliant or it's stupid. I'm sure someone who's more cynical about movies like this, and who's more decisive would say, yeah, no, that's stupid. But, I can't do that. I have to mull it over a little bit and see the movie again in a few months and pick up on anything I missed. There's definitely stuff I missed. There was one point where I was like, where are we? I've completely lost track of where these characters are and what they're trying to do. Not that it was that complicated, but there are a few locations. There's a little jumping around. And besides, it's meant to be a big, entertaining movie about giant monsters punching each other and duking it out to be the alpha, and so what's the limit when it comes to stupidity? If you rip it apart, you're taking it too seriously. Of course, there are going to be things that just don't make total sense or exceed the bounds of real science or test the limits of what you're willing to believe, but just enjoy it. There are also more creatures and monsters that we see, and you don't get a long look at them, but there are quite a few things shown, and that was interesting. There was one that I didn't like, and that shows up in one of the trailers. It's a snake-like thing with wings. I hate snakes, so I didn't care for that, but that was over soon enough. The music by I tried to remember his name, but it's just gone. Junkie XL is the other name he goes by. I thought he did a pretty good job. It's, again, not Bear McCreary's score for King of the Monsters, but my complaint when I went and saw that was that I was really looking forward to the music and I could barely hear it. In this case, I could hear the music, at least the loud parts, and so that was good. I like Kong's theme. I think it's got a good melody, and it's got a softness to it, but then this big, rousing theme, and then Godzilla's theme is cool. You think at first that it's the Ifukube theme, and then after the first blah, then it's inverted, I guess is what I would call it. Like, it's similar, but changed. And I think that's to reflect how our perception of Godzilla is kind of topsy-turvy from how we saw him at the end of the last movie. The score combines an electronic and orchestral sound, and at times there's also an 80s flavor, which was interesting. There are also a few additional songs added in, often for comedic effect, which was a little odd. As far as I can remember, the other movies didn't do that. They didn't play pop songs over a scene of Godzilla or Kong. So for it to happen here was like, oh, okay, we're doing that. But it was fine. There is comic relief, a little bit less than in King of the Monsters, I would say, but more than was in the 2014 Godzilla. Some of it's funny. There were a couple funny moments. There are also moments where I just feel like, no, you should have taken that line, should have cut the scene earlier, you didn't need that, that was stupid. I liked the movie. I am not sure yet how much I liked the movie. When I saw King of the Monsters, I came out of the theater and I felt pumped. This... I don't know. I'll have to think about it, I'll have to see it again. Not immediately. Like I said, I'm going to watch it again in a few months when it comes out, and I'll do a full review then, and I'll be able to use pictures and maybe video clips sparingly, and then we'll see how I feel about it after the second round. But I do encourage you to go see it if you've been following these movies, if you're a fan of Godzilla, if you're a fan of Kong, if you're a fan of both, and if you're interested in seeing it, I absolutely would recommend going to see it in the theater because it's just the kind of movie that looks best on the big screen. Too loud. I really don't like the movie theater experience. It's just such an onslaught of sound. But I will say this, it helped drown out the obnoxious kids who were sitting in the back corner who just would not shut up. They thought they were hilarious. And then halfway through the movie, there's this big reveal happening, and they suddenly... It was like half the people in the audience decided to get up and go to the bathroom. And then these kids went and sat in the front row. I don't know why. I don't know why anybody would want to sit in the front row. But it was mind-boggling to me that everybody got up. I was like, hello! But I'm one of those people that once I've started a movie, I want to just sit there, no interruptions, no getting up to go to the bathroom and missing anything. If I have to go to the bathroom, and I did, I will just suffer through. I'm glad I went though. I think it was the right call, and it's still totally worth it to get the big screen experience. These are big monsters and big fights, and they look good on the big screen. That is, if you feel safe going. Big round of applause also to my dad, who was not interested in seeing this movie at all, but came with me to the movies. He went with me to King of the Monsters, didn't really care for that. Didn't really care for this movie either. Is not his cup of tea. But he's a good guy, and I really appreciate him coming along with me. He's a trooper. So those are my thoughts on the new movie, Godzilla vs. Kong. I will be doing a solo review in the future where I will go in depth and we'll discuss spoilers and we'll be more analytical of characters, and I'll know the actors' names and things, and have a better grasp on things that I might have missed. But until then, this will have to hold you over. I'm not sure how to wrap this up, because usually I would say here, if you've seen the movie, I'd love to know what you think of it, so go ahead and share your thoughts in the comments below. But a lot of you probably haven't seen the movie yet and are hoping to, and you don't want to be spoiled, so if those who have seen the movie go and share all their thoughts on it in the comments below, you're gonna be spoiled. So, just comment something, but, you know, have a little respect for other people, and those of you who haven't seen the movie, be careful! I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope you enjoy the movie as soon as you get a chance to see it, if you haven't already. I will see you again in a few days with what else I saw in March. Thanks for watching.